So what do I think about that Diddy documentary? I've been asked. Honestly, I don't think it tells us anything we haven't already heard before. But it absolutely tells us a lot about the world and the society that we live in, and none of it is good. You combine that with the ideology perpetrated that individualism should come before everything else, because neither system works without encouraging people to believe that their neighbors are their enemies, that there should be a hierarchy based on skin color and socioeconomic status, and that the only thing that matters is whatever benefits you individually in the moment. That is what allows the rich to continue to pull the strings. Because people in the United States of America do not think of themselves as a community. They think of themselves as individuals. And this is one of the biggest problems with American society. You see this again play out under the surface of what we're learning about everything that happened with Sean Combs and why he was able to do the things he was able to do for as long as he was able to do them. So the lessons from this documentary, to me, is the same lesson I keep raising on this channel. You have to be willing to do something when you see wrong things happening in the world. Talking is not enough. When you see something wrong happening, you must be willing to step up, even if it costs you something. And you have to be willing to step up collectively. That's why I talk all the time about collective action. When that woman talked about allegedly being SA'd by Diddy, and that when she went to people around him and told them what happened, they wouldn't get involved, because one person told her if they got involved, they wouldn't be able to get in his parties. Can you imagine telling someone that you'd been SA'd and them telling you they wouldn't do nothing because they can't get into a party? This is what I mean. Hyper-capitalism. First of all, let me just say this. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson has got to be one of the pettiest people that God ever created to live on planet Earth. I call him Petty Pants. And he is one of those Negroes where if you start some shit with him, you better make sure that you finish it and finish it permanently, because that Negro is not going to let go, not for nothing. He is hell-bent, and he will be hell-bent finishing it with you. But here's the thing. I'm very well aware that anyone can write a documentary about anything. And throughout watching this documentary, my biggest question was, where the hell were all these people while all this mess was going on? Everybody who now is looking at the camera and spilling the tea, where the hell were they? I'm not going to get into who I fully believe or don't believe. Some people came across more credible than others. But what was very clear to me, as I've said in past videos about Diddy, and I'll link those videos in the description, is that this was a situation where someone was engaging in the most egregious and nefarious acts in plain sight. And everyone was pretending they didn't know or didn't see it because it served them economically to stay quiet. And now everyone suddenly has something to say because they perceive that he no longer has the power to hurt them or cut them checks. To me, that tells me that all these people have ethics that sit squarely on whatever is financially beneficial to them. They saw things, they knew things, and they said nothing. And in my eyes, they are just as bad as the person they're talking about. Especially that man who was his partner in the company, who talked the most in the documentary, Mr. He Took My 25%. And don't get me started on the black woman juror. The way she was just there grinning and cheesing and smirking, I wanted to smack her upside her head. It was obvious she engaged in zero critical thinking, and frankly, all of them on the jury upheld the same misogynistic views about women, which is a huge part of the problem in American society. People do not understand domestic violence, and they do not want to understand it. This documentary isn't just about Diddy, in my opinion. It's a statement about the United States of America as a society. Anyone that's paying attention realizes that the United States is in late-stage capitalism and late-stage democracy. It's all crumbling before our eyes. At the root of it, hyper-capitalism and white supremacy. A society that centers individualism over community. People don't care about a problem until the problem becomes their individual and personal problem. And by the time the problem hits their doorstep, it's too late to fix the problem. We saw this during COVID. We're seeing it right now with the crumbling of American democracy. Nobody wants to put any skin in the game. They just want to talk about it on TikTok and Instagram until it personally affects them. And you know that phrase, "we are not our ancestors"? It's very true, because our ancestors had much more backbone and courage than many of us walking around today. The things we see happening in this world, and everybody just looks the other way. Nobody wants to risk anything until their own life is on the chopping block. And I want to say something about how this applies to workplaces in the United States of America. Based on my experience and the experiences shared with me by many of my clients that I work with all the time, as you know, I help people escape discriminatory, hostile work environments. I work with people in all kinds of workplace settings, but primarily corporate workplace settings. And what I know over and over again is that folks all across organizations always have awareness of what is going wrong. The powers that be, co-workers, supervisors, they always have awareness when illegal, nefarious things are happening. And 9 times out of 10, nobody wants to take a stand. Nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to put any skin in the game. Everybody is just concerned about covering their individual asses. It is a rare thing to see a person take a hit for another person. Most people come to me because something is happening to them. And oftentimes they saw it happen to somebody else, but they never thought it would happen to them. It is a very rare thing. It has happened, but it is a very rare that someone comes to me because they have been put on the hit list because they stood up for someone else. It is a rare thing, and it always stands out to me when it occurs because most of the time, that is not the case. Most of the time, it's because something has happened to someone individually, and even when they saw it happen to someone else, they didn't feel the need to say or do anything about it until it came around to them. And that's just how things operate in the United States of America, because the workplace is a microcosm of your larger society. That is what you get in a society where making money is the primary goal every time, every day, everywhere. I think that's an important place to put this in terms of a commentary about how this ties back to the workplace, which I try to do in most of my videos. American society is hyper-capitalistic and white supremacist. You combine those two things, and you combine them, and they love to sell the idea of individualism because neither system works without encouraging people to believe that their neighbors are their enemy, that they should hate people just because of the color of their skin, that there should be a hierarchy based on skin color, that the only thing that matters is whatever benefits them individually in that moment. Can you imagine telling someone that you have been SA'd and that a video of it is being shared all around, and that person telling you that they won't do anything because it means they won't get into a party? Can you imagine that? Over a party? This is what I mean. Hyper-capitalism, the pursuit of clout and money, no morality, no community. Everything is transactional. And at some point, someone is going to have to make Jennifer Lopez speak up about what she knows about all of this. But I digress. But like I said, I didn't learn anything new about Diddy. We already knew he is not a man of low character. He is a man of no character. What I do reject is the implication that he is the way he is because of his mother. I am not here to debate whether she was a good or bad parent. I am saying this. At some point, every adult has to make a choice about who they're going to be. Because here's the thing. If good parenting guaranteed good people, this society would look very different. I've seen people with incredible parents turn out to be terrible people, and people with terrible parents turn out to be incredible people. So it can't just be about the parenting. People have to make choices. Diddy made choices. He behaved the way he did because he felt he could get away with it in an environment and a business where this behavior is normalized and celebrated. And I also believe that many Black men who enter entertainment make fast money and see what white men do, and they want to replicate that. Instead of reinvesting in their communities, they want to be the big dog on the block because white men are their blueprint. And when white men are your blueprint, you're on the road to destruction 9 times out of 10, especially when white rich men are your blueprint. There was no new ground on Tupac. I always suspected Diddy was involved in some way, so nothing shocked me there. But the documentary shed new light on Biggie's death, and that made me really angry. I remember the moment he died. I remember the day he died. I was in my 20s. Biggie was my favorite rapper, still is. His death broke my heart because he truly minded his business. This was a man that didn't bother nobody. He wasn't controversial. He wasn't messy. He was a gifted artist who stayed in his lane and minded his business. And now to know that Diddy may have had a role, at least, in creating the circumstances that put him in harm's way and costed him his life makes me furious. According to the documentary, Biggie didn't even want to be in Los Angeles. He was there because Diddy wanted him there. And I remember saying back then when it happened, what the hell was he doing in LA? And now we know, and it's really devastating. Tupac's death saddened me, but I was not shocked by it. He moved loudly. He spoke truth that made people uncomfortable and angry. I always felt someone would try to harm him. And as the whole West Coast, East Coast thing escalated, I continued to feel that way. But Biggie, that felt and still feels like a senseless loss caused by an environment and the people around him. So overall, I didn't learn anything new. It just confirmed what many of us already believed. Diddy is the devil. Period. Full stop. But let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this commentary, take a moment to like, comment, do so constructively, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss when another video drops if you're watching this on YouTube. And don't forget to follow me across social media and to subscribe to my website. This is Anne-Marie. This is the Anti-HR. HR is not your enemy, but they are definitely not your friend, but I am. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.